Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. At this point, I will answer two major questions as part of the midterm quiz in EED 18, Teaching English in the Elementary Grades, Language Arts. First question that I opt to choose is how does cooperative learning approach takes place in the classroom setting and how does it encourage learning language development? In an educational milieu, cooperative learning involves more than just having students sit together in groups. Instead, cooperative learning involves planning with clear directions, students work with the roles and outcomes and measures for learning goals. Teachers who use this method see or foresee the value in cooperation, teamwork, and collaboration as major part of their classrooms. Students who learn how to collaborate through cooperative learning can become adults who work together more effectively in the workplace, such as developing language learning or communicative skills. For example, in the classroom setting, a cooperative learning lesson involves students working in small groups to accomplish a learning task. The task is assigned by the teacher with clear directions. Students then work on the task with clear and defined objectives. For example, the students is given a task to role-play a dialogue of various situations based on a relatable context such as buying their favorite foods, their toys, or someone told them to get the stuffs. Then the students are grouped with defined roles and responsibility, such as there is an actors, writers, leaders, so on and so forth, in order to completely or successfully do the task. Teachers with students who work in a cooperative learning groups are typically allow for more social interaction and can enhance students' collaborative skills and social skills that are crucial for their development of the language or the language acquisition. In a cooperative learning, students are forced to group and interact socially and practice collaboration, which opens an opportunity for students to enhance their language skills such as viewing, presenting, reading, writing, listening, and speaking. With the teachers with cooperative learning lesson that include positive, active student collaboration are planned out with clear directions and expectations for the students. Now, students who participate in a cooperative learning lessons are motivated and encouraged and to have opportunities to build their self-confidence, not just their self-esteem and self-confidence, but also their language development throughout the lesson. In a cooperative learning, it is particularly beneficial for students and teachers, particularly for student learning language. Cooperative learning activities, it promote peer interaction, which help the students to develop a language and learning of concepts and content. In a cooperative learning approach, students are honed and develop language skills efficiency and effectively and improve language performance and proficiency across the macro skills such as reading, writing, listening, speaking, viewing, and presenting. And also, it provides opportunities for students to develop language naturally. The second question that I choose is what is the importance of familiarizing the approaches to language arts teaching, and do you think it is beneficial to a language teacher and why? First things first, let us remember always that in a linguist have demonstrated that there is not one single best method for everyone in all contexts, particularly in teaching language. and that no one teaching method is inherently superior to others. In language teaching, an approach is a way of looking at teaching and learning. It is an underlying any language teaching approach is a theoretical view of what language is and of how it can be learned. An approach gives rise to methods, the way of teaching something which use classroom activities or techniques to help learners learn particularly a language. The role of an approach for teacher is vital to acquire for an English capability or competencies. Hence, it describes the nature of the subject matter to be taught. An approach is discussing about underpinning a theory of language and language teaching nature and the application of the theory in the content and context of language teaching. Teachers have to make the classroom to be a place where the students can acquire the meaningful of language arts learning, particularly using those approaches. Moreover, it is not just familiarizing these approaches, but also it is important for the teachers to naturally inherent these approaches in teaching and learning language arts. For students to have involved or to be involved themselves in the teaching and learning process based on what is the approach that the teacher is utilizing so that they can develop their own skills in language learning. Teaching language arts calls for an approach which brings linguistic skills and communicative abilities into close association with other skills akin of the macro skills such as reading, speaking, listening, writing, viewing, and presenting. There are myriad of approaches that can be used by an educator in teaching language arts that makes the students achieve the aims of language learning. And this can be cooperative, situational, functional notion, and multi-skill, content-based, and task-based approaches. It is beneficial and important for teachers to have knowledge of these approaches and techniques to language arts teaching, including teaching methods, so that they can be flexible in their instruction and adapting them when needed that is applicable and appropriate in language learning situations. And educators can gain a better understanding of how to best govern their classrooms, implement instruction, and connect with their students through language teaching and learning, which enable them to create a meaningful and lifelong learning. Thank you.